Well, there's still new fallout from the sequester cuts. It comes after the White House announced it will stop giving tours to the public because of the sequester forced spending cuts. Well, now there's a new idea on how to save money, with one Republican representative suggesting the president cancel his golf trips instead. Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas even wants to make it illegal for the president to use any tax dollars for commuting to his golf trips until the White House resumes giving public tours. Joining us now with his take on this, Charlie Hurt, a columnist for the Washington Times. So starting this weekend, Charlie, we understand you can't take a tour of the White House because under sequester, they just don't have the staff to make sure that everything is safe and secure.
Yeah, and meanwhile, last we've heard that the White House's chief calligrapher, who makes about $100,000 a year, is still on staff. So that's secured. I'm sure all those disappointed visitors will be very glad to know. At the very least, this decision by the White House, it's very petty. But far worse than that is the fact that, the idea that President Obama would look at the situation and not see plenty of room to cut in the federal government. In fact, he himself has said many times, on the campaign trail that, that the federal government could stand to have cuts. And the notion that he can't find these cuts, but he can turn around and close the White House to the public is, I think it's shocking, and I would actually argue is probably the beginning of him kind of jumping the shark on all this. Yeah,
well, I mean, we know that he famously went down to Florida in Air Force One, hundreds of thousands of dollars just flying that big plane, but there's more to it than that. You got to send the Secret Service, you've got to sweep the resort. A golf trip for the president, like he took with Tiger Woods, is a multi-million-dollar proposition, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And in fact, just taking a quick trip to Andrews Air Force Base, which is where he generally does most of his golfing, just a trip like that is a vastly expensive operation because you have, as you mentioned, Secret Service, you have a massive detail, emergency detail that goes with him. There are helicopters at the ready if he doesn't actually take a helicopter to get there, which he often does. And I don't think anybody is begrudging that. Obviously all Americans want our president to be very safe, but the point is that that we make accommodations for that. Yeah. Why are we not making accommodations to keep the White House open? Why are we not making accommodations to continue to make the federal government work in the ways that it does work, as opposed to this bizarre mission that the administration is on right now to make Americans feel pain from sequestration? They want people to feel the pain here, and it makes no sense.
And John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, tweaked the president by saying, we on the House side understood that sequester was coming, and we have made preparations for it. We're keeping the Capitol open for tours. Too bad you folks at the White House can't do the same.
Yeah, and in fact, Republicans on Capitol Hill have tried to give the president the authority, the broad authority, to rejigger all the sequestration cuts throughout every department of his administration so that they would hurt less on the ground. And not only did he refuse to sign it, he vowed to veto it if it ever actually reached him. And I can't help but think that at some point President Obama's very, very good fortune in politics runs out if he continues to behave like this.
Has he, like Fonzie, jumped the shark? We'll put that question on our webpage. Charlie Hurt from the Washington Times. Thank you.
Thanks, John.